town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker.
Hey everyone, I know we kind of got the notice out there just a little bit later than normal, but we are here and I am live from Sturgis, South Dakota. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. So for tonight's show, we do have a wonderful guest. My guest will be Miss Kelly Burton from the London Laurel Tourism Commission, but she will not be on until approximately 9:30. She had some things going on, so I wanted to go ahead, come on here tonight, and talk a little bit about everything that's going on. Hope everyone can hear me okay. But I just want to say hello to everybody that's watching here. Hello to my business partner, Dr. Sumner. She's holding it down there at the historic Scott County Jail while I'm out here at the Spirits of Deadwood convention. And Mr. Daryl Paulette from over there in West Virginia. Hey to Mr. Brandon Cooper from Shaman Sundays. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm looking forward to seeing you here a little bit later this weekend. Miss Susan Purcell, thank you for tuning in tonight. Nancy Weems, how are you? Thank you all so much for watching. So it is Thursday night, and we are live here on the Ghost Biker Garage. And like I said, we are in Sturgis, South Dakota. So got here a little bit earlier this evening and been seeing a little bit of the sites, but mostly been on conference calls and working since I got here. But it's kind of one of those things where my flight was very, very early this morning. I had to be up at 3:30 and catch the flight out here, and been going ever since. So the trip is going really well. Looking forward to an amazing weekend of hanging out with friends and meeting a lot of new people here in the area. But and hello to Crystal Hill from Alabama. Thank you so much for watching. So I want to talk a little bit about the event that's coming up this weekend. Let me get this pulled up here on my screen. So please bear with me as I get that pulled up. So Spirits of Deadwood, we've been talking about this for months now, and it's finally here. September 29th and 30th, so Friday and Saturday, the event does go to benefit Sacred Mountain Retreat. And we've talked about what that is. We've been releasing some different videos. I know this past week we put out my video, but I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the sponsors, because without the sponsors, this event wouldn't be here. So let me actually pull this up and minimize myself there. See if I can pull this up and make it larger. So definitely want to say a thank you to the folks who have very kindly sponsored this event. Of course, Sacred Mountain Retreats, but American Family Insurance, Queen City Doors, Uncle Louie's Diner, Two Clueless Guys, Knuckle Brewing Company, Art by Mary Lynn, and Horn Paranormal. These folks have worked really, really hard on this convention to make this what it is. And so, I say convention, but it's a paranormal event. Part of the agenda that's going on, not only are we going to be getting to investigate three amazing locations: the historic Bullock Hotel, the the Fairmont Hotel, and the brothel Deadwood, but from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, this event will be open to the public, and it's going to be located downstairs in Seth's cellar at the Bullock Hotel. And so there's going to be a lot of great things going on. The talent is going to be doing presentations. We've got artists there. We're going to be having intuitive art, I'm not sure. There may be a gallery reading. I'm not for sure if that's going to be open to the public or not. But the public will have the opportunity to purchase the investigation tickets, which is $75, and it does get you all three of those locations. You'll also be able to. I know they have very, very limited tickets still available for the overnight, so you will be able to to go on and purchase a few tickets for that limited event. Excuse me. That's going to be going, or those limited tickets that we do have available for the hotels. So very excited to be a part of this event. I know that this is my first time in South Dakota, and so I really like what Sacred Mountain Retreat Centers do for our veterans and first responders and Gold Star families. We do have a video of that. If you go to Sacred Mountain Retreat Center's page, you can see that video and search under paranormal event. Definitely go on, check that out if you're in the area. Come see us. And I know the presenters have a lot of merchandise that they've got for sale, and a lot of great stories. So just come by and talk to us. Just kind of looking at the comments here. Yeah, as Christy says, there's so much history in Deadwood, and it is a great place for a paranormal event. And it's basically untouched. There's not been a lot of investigations in this area, so it's going to be cool to go in and investigate places that have been investigated by just a few people. That's always amazing whenever that's the case. Also, you can donate to the to Sacred Mountain Retreat Center. You can donate to the event. If you go, I'm going to go ahead and actually pull the website up here. Because I really like how they have it set up where you can where you can donate to their specific events and to also their specific programs that they have, and they make it very easy for you. If you go to sacredmountainretreat.org, at the bottom of the page they've got the donate button, and then if you go to the events, or if you look at under the support tab, it talks about their equine program as well as their puppy program, and you can donate to those specific programs. So, so definitely go on there, check that out. If you can't attend the event, please consider donating. And if you can attend the event, then come on out and see us. And as Brandon says, you can come pet his beard for charity. So, so definitely come by, check us out, and check out the page for more information, because if you can't make it this year, there may be more opportunities in the future. So, like I said, Kelly will be on a little bit later, but if you tuned in last week, it was just me on the show. We talked about some really cool things. We talked about season 6. We talked about the upcoming Ghost Biker Explorations Hogs and Haunts weekend. I'm not going to get into the Hogs and Haunts weekend just yet, because that's what my guest is going to be on here talking about. We've got a lot of great information about the cave investigation that's going to be on October 14th. This is something, we've still got tickets available, and this is something that's very unique, that it's limited tickets. And so Kelly's going to be on there talking about a lot of the cool details when it comes to this investigation. So we're just a couple weeks out. I know that the motorcycle part of the weekend is pretty much sold out. Now that is a free ride, and if you want to join and it says that there are no spots left, please either reach out to me or Kelly or Chris, and we want to get you on the ride. Just because it says that there aren't any spots available, we were limiting it 15 people, but we want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity. So if you're interested, let us know. And again, we'll talk about all of that here in just a little bit. But I do want to talk some more about season 6. And so if you've been following the page, you'll see that yesterday we did drop the trailer for season 6. So I do want to play that and then kind of talk a little bit more about it until we have Kelly on. So let me get that geared up here. And hopefully it'll something different. Let me start that over and pull myself out. So I'm going to play the trailer, and then we'll talk about it a little bit here after. So bear with me. So we're actually doing something different this year with Ghost Biker Explorations Season 6. Every single episode of Season 6 is going to be live. So excited to have that new season trailer out there. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Nancy. You know, it's exciting to be doing the season all live, and I absolutely love when October rolls around because I'm finally able to release my episodes. And these episodes have been a year in the making. It's always something that really enjoy doing. So there's always a lot of build up and excitement coming up toward the new season. And this season is going to be very different because every single episode will be live. And, you know, those come with their own challenges, but they also come with their own opportunities. So absolutely excited about that. And you know, again, thank you all for the compliments on that. You know, my show, it is self-produced, and it's me, you know, so so I really do appreciate your kind words because it is a lot of work that goes into editing these videos, putting everything together. And if anybody knows me personally, they know that come, you know, August, September, and especially October, I get a little crazy when it comes to being ready for my season because I am a perfectionist, and I like for things to be just so, and put out a good quality product. So I appreciate everyone that has shared this out because as a content creator, that helps get the word out. But you're definitely going to want to share these episodes that are coming out because we are going to be live. And the locations that we're doing, these locations are fantastic. They're not overly investigated. Some of them have never been investigated before, and others have been investigated just a few times. But all of these locations are places that you can visit, and you know, they need your support. So very excited to go in there, share the history, talk about the cool things that's in the surrounding area when you come to visit these areas, and then also really get in there and see if we can catch some paranormal activity. I'm excited to be doing it with you. You know, because these are fully interactive. We're going to have a moderator during the investigation. So they're going to be able to take your questions, your comments, and you're going to be able to investigate along with me. So this is something that definitely excited to be a part of, and I hope you will help me out this season by sharing it out there, helping to get the word out. We are going to be traveling all over the southeast. I don't want to give away too much about the season, but the cities, towns, states, the states we're going to be visiting, we are going to be in, of course, Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, and Virginia. So just finalizing a few details on a few of them, but we're going to have a lot more trailers and teasers, and probably even be doing a couple different lives leading up to each of these investigations. Um, to me, one of the most special things that we're going to be doing about this season is we're not only going to be releasing each of these episodes live, unedited and unscripted, but we'll be even going back, and I will be re-releasing those because I will be investigating at these locations after the live is over. So you're going to get a double whammy here with this season. You're going to get bonus episodes that are going to release in November. And so I'll be taking the lives, and I will be editing those down with your comments, with our captures, and then be showing the unreleased footage from the actual investigation after the live is over. So it's going to be really cool to have it all on, to have several different touch points, as well as more episodes coming out. So it's going to be double. Tony asks, will it only be live on Facebook or other platforms? So it's going to be live on both Facebook and YouTube. I know last year, whenever we did the live from the jail, we did it where we were an hour on Facebook and an hour on YouTube. But if everything works out as planned, we're going to go in and actually have it dropping on both Facebook, YouTube at the same time. And I'm hopeful these lives are going to be anywhere from an hour each to 2 hours. So if you can't make it for the whole live, definitely try to pop in and tune in at some point. So again, very excited about this with the season. Maybe by the time the episode is over, we may play that episode again, or excuse me, that trailer again, and talk a little bit more about it. But and we'll also talk a little bit more about the Deadwood event that's coming up. But I'm very excited because tonight's guest, we're going to be talking about the Ghost Biker Hogs and Haunts weekend, getting into more details about it, because once you find out these details, you're really going to want to be a part of it. So it looks like she is here, and so if she'll give me a thumbs up that she's ready, all right, then I'm going to go ahead and bring her on. And so if you watched last year, you saw where I had Miss Kelly Burton from the London Laurel Tourism Commission on last year, and talked about the first annual Hogs and Haunt weekend with Chris Minton from Wildcat Harley-Davidson. She's agreed to join us again tonight. So if you will, help me and welcome Miss Kelly Burton back. Hey,
Hey,
how are you doing?
I'm good. Hey, I like your hat.
You know what? I like yours too.
Right? It's one of my favorites. I'm just saying, if you don't have one, you're missing out.
Isn't it the most comfortable
It
hat?
is. I like it's already curved. It's
Yes.
already kind of distressed already. It's got the mesh in the back because I got a little head, so I don't like this one
The
size.
bubble.
It's yeah, mm-mm. and and all the hipsters, they all want flat bills like this. No, no, no. But
No.
it's got it like I almost want to put a baseball, like the rubber band to, so
You used to do
great.
that too?
Oh
I
yeah.
would always rubber band my hats, and
Yep.
I have a narrow, long face, and
Yes,
so
it's the
I just sit there and
triangle. We need a support group for hats, maybe. I don't know.
hey, I when I found this one, I was like, this is what I'm doing. And actually, I had just bought, and mine's all faded, and when you see it in person, it's actually more gray now. But I bought mine just for myself, and I had so many people talking about it that I thought I'm going to order it.
Mhm.
And because I'm so particular about my hats, I mean, they've just got to fit just right.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I do have a favorite hat. Like I lost it for a month or so. It was probably in the back of my car somewhere. And when I found it, you thought I won the jackpot of like $1 million. I mean, it's dirty and I mean, it's just all grummy, and I'm like, but it's so comfortable. It's like a when you go to Goodwill or maybe a vintage store and you
Yes,
find good used sweatshirts that's already broke in. I'm just
that's the
saying,
best.
so speaking of ghosts and spirits and trigger areas, like I would be attached. I'm going to be attached to that favorite hat one day. And someone's like, "Who wears this junky hat?" I'm going to be like, "What? Don't be dogging on my hat." So
They're going to get Kelly.
that's right. That's why the spirits are attached to things because whatever it is, that was their jam, whatever that was. So that's very interesting.
Absolutely. So we got a lot of folks over here that's saying hello to you, Kelly. Some of them I know you know, and some of them uh, hopefully we'll see at some of these events that's coming up. So again, thank you all who are just now tuning in. I'm really glad everyone is here. Um, so let's talk about this second annual Hogs and Haunts weekend.
I know, right? So I know we in London, Kentucky, we just finished our World Chicken Festival and we
How
had
was that?
perfect weather. I mean, you could not ask for better weather of a free event. And so I know Wildcat Harley-Davidson is on board, and this is a free event of the motorcycles to your leading that. So we try to bring affordable events to London and multi-day events. And so one thing I will say, the motorcycle ride is free, but the investigation that's going to be at an undisclosed cave in southeastern Kentucky, that is, correct me if I'm wrong, $45 a person.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
all of those proceeds, thanks to you, Miranda, are going to Shop with the Cop again. And and I know that sounds so weird to say, come to an undisclosed location. Like, trust me, you don't want to miss this. It's not going to be like you have a headlamp and you're just in the middle of a dark cave and there's bats everywhere. Like, I promise you, there's probably there's like a 99.99% chance there's no bats in this cave. Um, but it's like the picture in the background you see, like you're not going to be in the total dark. Like, so, and that's going to be, I'm a safety girl. Like, there's rules for a reason. There are actually real restrooms available. If a girl's got to go or a guy's got to go, you're not going in the back of the cave. I'm just saying, like, there are, 21st century resources here. It's in a controlled environment. It's not, London is in the Danube National Forest, and that is another highlight of being in southeastern Kentucky. Um,
Yeah.
it's just there's a lot of history in this cave area. And I know one of the famous caves in the United States is Mammoth Cave. Of course, it's not Mammoth Cave.
I
Um,
had to already clear that up because I had
yeah.
some people that were like, undisclosed location in southeast Kentucky. It's Mammoth Cave, and it's like,
It's
no,
on the other
no,
side of the state. So,
nope.
but it is, it's just, I'm telling you, for the 14 people, we have limited tickets. I know we've already started selling them, and people are like, oh, I'm going to do that next week. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And then you forget because I'm that person that, oh, crap, I forgot to do that. Once they're gone, they're gone. We
Yeah.
will have a host. We will have almost like a tour guide, not a tour guide, but an expert of the history of the area that will be giving us clarification of the history. But Miranda, you're leading the investigation. I'm kind of like the bridge is what I am of I'm I'm just here for the fun. But I will say, if you have any questions about safety, or you're 100%, it's not, I will even say, even if you are, um handicap accessible, and so maybe you are on a walker or a wheelchair and stuff, you can participate. So don't let that prevent you from doing that.
That was a question, 'cause I know actually my sister, she was even wanting to do this, and she's actually having some surgery the day before, and she was asking what the walking was like there at the cave, and I told her I didn't feel like it was strenuous or anything that was uh, challenging, because like you said, it is handicap accessible.
Yeah,
Accessible.
there is parking available to accommodate those people that need that. So, I mean, the older I get, the less I want to walk, right? I'm like, oh, it's just a mile. It's not a big deal. Like, we're done walking the mile. So I'm just saying, if those needs to be accommodated, we can arrange that.
Okay.
Definitely.
So
I
we're
will
gonna what,
say though, like
blindfold them
cell
and
phone service, you're probably not gonna have cell phone service. Like, go ahead and just count that out. But I say you won't have cell phone service, but don't worry, it's all safe. Like, I promise you. I know that
well,
sounds.
so we're gonna what, blindfold them and put them in a van and take them to the place and
Oh, I didn't really think about that. I don't think
yes.
we got to do the blindfold. I will say, we will meet at the London
We're
Laurel
gonna caravan.
Tourist Commission. That's on exit 41. So there are great restaurants around if you want to grab a bite to eat. We will all caravan together to the location. Just
Yeah,
because it is in such it, I mean, it is difficult to
it's remote.
find. It is remote. So that will be the easiest way is to caravan and carpool. Definitely, if people want to carpool together, that's just saving the money. We can go over the details as that come.
Yeah, so don't let any of that discourage you as far as getting a ticket by saying, "Oh, it's undisclosed." I mean, obviously, we will disclose to you once you get your ticket and we're there where we're going. This is just for the purposes of the agreement we have, and so we will disclose that and where we're going to meet. And I guess if someone is new to the area or is not from London, do you have suggestions on places that they can eat and everything beforehand?
Absolutely. You can go to visitlondonky.com under dining, and we have our dining tabs organized by exits. Exit 41, my brain never lets me. 38, 29, 25, 29, downtown London. Whether you're on a budget and you want fast food or you want to sit down dining, if you are a Tesla, if you have an electric car, we have 12 to 14 charging stations at our visitor center. So if you have a Tesla, don't think you can't come to this because you can't get gas. So we have electric cars available charging. So that is 100%. That don't let that stop you. Miranda, what is your, and I apologize, I have to ask this, the age limit? Did we say this was 18 and up?
I believe we had this at
No.
18 and up.
Yeah.
I'll double check. Actually, let me pull up. Um, I'm gonna click on I think it's gonna. Let's see if it opens it to a new page or if it
Because I
opens.
know in previous investigations, we've had a lot of families come with teenagers um, and
I
if
think I was looking to see. I believe we had at least said 16 and up at least.
right.
Let me
If
double check,
we
but I think
have
we said it's
questions
18.
on age, I can verify that tomorrow, and
Yeah.
then I can communicate with you, and we can update that on the Eventbrite link.
Mhm.
And
Janet says, "What is the closest airport?"
so Knoxville, Tennessee and that's an hour drive. Lexington, Kentucky, it's an hour drive. We do have the London Corbin Airport. So in London, so I mean, if you are a pilot, I mean, you're going to be landing in London, Kentucky, and you're literally going to be 10 minutes from the London Laurel County Tourist Commission. We have lots of pilots that fly in all the time for businesses, or they fly in to gas their plane up. So those are your three options. Definitely that's available if you're a pilot.
And I just flew out of Knoxville Airport early this morning, and that was my first time flying out of there. And I got to say, I'm used to flying out of from all over. I love Chattanooga Airport because it's so small. I'm not a big fan of Atlanta. I do like the Nashville Airport, but Knoxville was fantastic. If you're flying in or out of there, I really liked that. So, and then as Kelly said, fly into Knoxville Airport, you're an hour south, or even like she said, Lexington. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never flown out of that one, but I'm sure it's
Yeah.
a good airport.
I've flown out of both. Actually, I'm flying out of Bluegrass Airport on Monday, but either way is right about an hour drive. Um,
Okay.
and Matt Singer is great at the London Corbin Airport. If you want to fly in there, give them a call. I mean, they are great hospitality. They've got hangars. They've got pilots coming in and out all the time there. One of my sons, one of his good friends just got his pilot license. He doesn't have his driver's license yet, but he did get his flight license. He had his third solo flight yesterday after soccer practice at the airport. So if you're interested in taking pilot lessons also in London, Kentucky, we can do that. We do scenic airplane tours over Laurel River Lake and Cumberland Falls
Oh,
State Park. And with the trees and leaves starting to change, so that may be something you might want to plan. Maybe you come Friday
yeah.
night, do an airplane tour, the meet and greet, you do the investigation Saturday, and then the bike ride on Sunday. That
It
would be
sounds like an adventure weekend.
a pretty sweet weekend, actually.
So let's kind of actually talk a little bit about London, Kentucky, and let's touch on the history, and then a little bit of, like you said, we just kind of briefly talked about some of the things that you can do. But what makes London special, Kelly?
Right. So, one, we have so much Kentucky history. Of course, probably one of the most famous pioneers that people are familiar with is Daniel Boone. And so, Daniel Boone that forged up through Cumberland Gap, that came through the Wilderness Road, that comes literally in my backyard of my house. I live right outside Levi Jackson Wilderness Road Park. So, the Wilderness Road and the Boone Trace Trail intersect. Levi Jackson, of course, he was the first Laurel County Judge Executive. His family, his descendants left all of the property to the state to develop Levi Jackson Wilderness Road State Park. And in 2019, the state park gave that to the city of London. So we have Levi Jackson Wilderness Road Park. We have the Mountain Life Museum. Unfortunately, we have one of the largest Indian massacres that happened in Levi Jackson, and that anniversary will be coming up in
Yeah.
October. We have the largest collection of millstones outside the Smithsonian, and we have a still working mill that they produce corn still, and you can purchase that at the museum. So lots of history of pioneer days. And also the third weekend in October is the Civil War reenactment of the Battle of Camp Wildcat. If you scroll down to your left and click on Civil War and History, that is always the third weekend in September. And we've actually had a paranormal investigation with another team
Nice.
up there a couple years ago, and just the stuff that we found and experienced is amazing. But choosing your own history adventure, there's a lot to choose from because the Battle of Camp Wildcat wasn't the bloodiest of the Civil War, but it was one of Kentucky's first ones, and that was very important for a Union win, was because that was the barrier to the rest of the North. So you can visit the battlefield, the trenches. The original trenches are still intact. There are 4 to 5 walking trails. You can go to the Battle of Camp Wildcat Mountain and learn a little about the history of that. But then the Camp Wildcat reenactment is put on by the Laurel County Home Guard. Those are hundreds. I bet they probably have 300 reenactors that come. And the cool thing about that is multiple generations. And
Hmm.
passing on that history knowledge. It's really amazing when you see a great grandfather, grandfather, dad, and son, and your grandkid out there. They work really hard. They actually just had a meeting, I believe, tonight, organizing. The Home Guard comes not just from Laurel County, but they come from other states. I mean, just reenactors themselves is like a whole knit family themselves. They support each other.
Oh,
And I
oh,
know last year when we came, we got to visit the reenactment and we did a little bit of paranormal stuff. There's a cannon there that's on display. And the day before you came, I went and did a little private investigating myself, and we picked up some readings as the reenactors are coming and preparing. I still think that stirs up probably
absolutely.
residual energy out there. Um, and
Well,
it,
and that was what was cool was because if I know that there's a lot of people that follow the page that did the ride last year, and that's actually coming back for the ride this year, which we're doing a little bit different just to keep things fresh. But that was so cool getting to do that ride, and it just happened to be that weekend
Mhm.
whenever they were doing the reenactment. And then I can't tell you, I mean that the timing was perfect with that reenactor that you were talking to that came and shared his stories of things he had experienced. I mean, you couldn't have planned that better.
Yeah, and it's not just one or two, it's multiple people that have their own stories, whether it was they saw a full-fledged, uh, soldier in gray just walking in the woods, they didn't say anything, and they just assumed it was a reenactor,
Hmm.
um, and then as opposed to hearing guns go off, seeing, cannons of smoke coming when there was no cannon that went off. Um, I've tried to record a lot of the historians of them storytelling because eventually these great historians will be gone, and having that audio, there's just something about hearing it as opposed to reading it. There's just something special
Hmm.
about that. So London, Kentucky has tons of history, regardless if it's Civil War, um, Daniel Boone purging through, coming up through Cumberland Gap, Boone Trace Trail, just trying to keep those relics and that memorabilia alive, to know where we came from and how Kentucky got its start.
And it's beautiful. That whole area is just absolutely beautiful, whether you're there to do a hike or to see the sights or especially motorcycle riding. That whole area is just absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous.
The one clip that because I do not motorcycle ride, and maybe that'll be on my bucket list one day, but I was in the rear in my Buick, videotaping. Um, but just the winding curves, and it opened up to Laurel River Lake, which is in the Danube National Forest. It's just winding. We have tons of, actually 11 different routes you can go to the motorcycle section
Mhm.
on our page, or go to Wildcat Harley-Davidson, and even go through southeastern Kentucky all the way down the Cumberland Gap. I mean, I don't know. I guess motorcycles, you can go from 60 miles to 100 miles is probably an average day route.
Mhm.
This past summer, London, Kentucky, we hosted the Masonic Motorcycle International Club,
I
and
saw that.
we hosted about 80 riders. They stayed for 4 to 6 days, and they came from New York, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Illinois, and they just had a blast of doing their kind of own routes, and then coming back to London and staying in our hotels and eating, and then going out the next day to another route.
And it looks like I'm waiting on this to pull up because, like I said, uh, my internet connection may be going a little slow through the feed here. But you've got the attractions as well as the dining there on your website, right up there at the top, um, where people can easily access that. That ride last year, I got to say, that was, we do the rides different at different places each year, and I loved how we did that this past year. I can't think of a better partnership combination with myself and the tourism commission there, and then also Wildcat Harley-Davidson. I mean, we got to eat right there at the Sanders Cafe,
Mhm.
and stopping there at Cumberland Falls, and then seeing. I mean, you couldn't ask for better weather and a better backdrop
Yeah.
to all of this.
And I guess if there was any feedback of how to improve, we went to so many, I guess, destinations and stops. It was like we we wanted to spend more time at each location. Just the reenactment. I mean, that was our first stop that we probably lingered longer than what we needed because we didn't want to leave. So there's definitely enough to do to stay not only just for a long weekend, but a whole week. And I mean, I just took my puppy out, but when I got home, the leaves are starting to fall, the crunchiness of the leaves. So here in the next 2 to 4 weeks, those colors are going to start to change, and it's going to be ideal. And if you've not been outside, people, you need to go outside and look at the full moon. It's
Yes.
gorgeous tonight. And because I drove through Levi Jackson Park and I drive through the cemetery and I drive through all that every single day. And sometimes I just roll down my window and I just stop for a second to listen. And then sometimes I get the creepy crawlies and I'm like, I don't have a buddy with me. I'm just going to keep on going home. But there's a lot, there's just so much history. And like you said, that the what ifs and maybes and the folklore, but that's one thing that history is never going to change. And by adding a little investigation, I think that just keeps the history alive and the curiosity to pass on that next generation to learn about our ancestors that were here before us.
Absolutely. And sometimes, if you're lucky, those ancestors will either fill in that history by giving you just a little tidbit, with through EVPs or disembodied voices. That happens often. I mean, I love when we investigated there at Levi Jackson last year, some of the different things. I mean, the just the items inside of the Mountain Life Museum were amazing trigger items. I
Yeah.
mean, I know that, let's see, when you investigated with another team up there, weren't you telling the story about how you caught someone on the SLS on the
Yeah.
spinning wheel?
Yeah. That's the one that. So I'm still new. I'm still a rookie, and I don't know any of the investigation terms, but I call it just the iPad. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
SLS camera. And I was like, I don't know, is it like programmed in there? And we were in building 2 that still has Levi Jackson and Rebecca's bed. I mean, these are real people's items, and there was a spinning wheel, and we started talking about clothes. Like, think of how many clothes when you do laundry tonight or you hang up all your clothes. Think, gosh, I didn't have to make that. We bought it at Amazon. We have so many clothes that we give to thrift stores, and I just thought, man, I bet Rebecca and them all are like, you people have no idea how hard it is. We had 3 outfits, right?
Uh-huh.
And we were just kind of talking about that, looking at the spinning wheel. And all of a sudden they had the iPad thing and they're just scanning the room as we're just talking. And all of a sudden there was a stick person sitting straddled on the spinning wheel. I mean, if I'm the stick person, I mean, it was like, and his little leg was going, and everyone wasn't paying attention. And I was like, what is going on? And then when we stopped talking about making clothes, like it disappeared. And I
Oh,
said,
that's cool.
okay, let's go back, ask if it can make us clothes. I need a dress for tomorrow for church. Like I have a rip in my dress. And it would
Hmm.
pop back up and it would spin like crazy.
Wow.
And I mean, at that point, I'm thinking, it's like a trick. Like you hit like the stick person button on your iPad. And then after the third time, the iPad was completely charged and the whole thing died. So I guess it drained its
Wow.
battery. But
Hmm.
that was really neat that it was almost answering our questions. It was intelligent. I guess that's the term that you would use for that. Uh,
Yeah.
and then with the investigation with you, when we were in
Hmm.
building 1, what is it when you have your headset on? Like,
Oh, the Estes method.
yes, you had
Yeah.
it on, and we were asking questions, and that room has a lot of Native American artifacts in it, and a very large portrait of a Native American chief is very intimidating. Like, it's very just a
Yeah.
solemn, commanding portrait. Um, and in the what is the machine called that it just blurps out
Oh,
words?
So we were doing the Estes method two ways. We did it for a while with the Spirit Box, and then we also did it with I believe the Legion app.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we were asking questions. You didn't hear the questions.
Mm-mm.
And we had asked, we were talking about the massacre, what as a pioneer, did they feel threatened? I mean, I feel, and Kelly speaking, when we talk about history, it's usually the pioneers are the good guys and the Native Americans are the bad guys. And that's not necessarily true. They
Yeah.
were defending their land. We're the one that rolled up in there, and like, to them, they were invading. They didn't know. And
Mm-hmm.
I just remember we asked specific, like, were you protecting your people, or what did you do to protect? And you said the word scalp. Like,
Yeah.
that word came out and it was so tied in.
Clear.
And you had no idea what we were asking.
Mm-mm.
And I
No,
just thought,
because weren't you all? I was in a totally different section of the room too, I believe. I was back by the picture, I think, wasn't
yes,
I? Well, we're
yes.
up there in the very front of the room.
And
Yeah.
that was just interesting just because it didn't say like grapes. I mean, it didn't say like a
Right.
word that didn't have anything to do with what we were talking about. So I did feel like it was it was communicating.
Hmm. The
That
church,
room,
we got a lot of great stuff in the church
yes, the
too.
church, man. The church is always my favorite. Like,
Yes.
I love the Lord and I love the church house. Um, the three different teams that we've had beside yourself that's been everyone's favorite.
Oh,
Um, like the building one with the Native American, that creeps me out. Like, I don't get good vibes. I get great vibes in the church.
yeah.
And both of those, everything that I've experienced when you play a hymn or there is
Yes.
music involved, oh, it's the best energy ever. And the best experience of mine is with your equipment that is basic equipment, like you can buy at
Basic.
Walmart. It's not the
Yeah.
high tech that you buy from the ghost store. Um,
Mm-mm.
you had the flashlights that you have
Yep.
to literally twist
Hmm.
to turn on, and you had them on several of the church pews.
Hmm.
Um,
And all up in the front too. We had
yeah,
that church full
yeah.
of, yeah.
And I went back to my house. I'm paraphrasing. I could talk for hours, but I went back to my house and I needed a Bible because we didn't have a
Hmm.
Bible. And when I stood up in the front, the little REM pod. Hey,
Hmm.
look at that. I'm getting all my terms right. The REM pod would go crazy when I stood up front. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh, what do we need a Bible? Do you need a Bible? And it went crazy. So I went to my house and got a Bible. I also found a hymnal. And I was like, that's perfect. And when I put the hymnal and the Bible up on the pulpit, like the piano one went
Yes.
crazy. Like,
Yes.
and to the point, didn't a flashlight fall off?
Yeah, we were just sitting there, and all of a sudden, there was a lady sitting not too far down from I think sitting right beside the piano,
She was
and
on the
all of a
floor.
sudden she was, and all of a sudden it just rolls off the piano, and it had been sitting there for, I would say, an hour at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't think I set it on the piano to cause it to fly. I think it
No. Uh-uh.
fell when I said, "Oh, maybe the piano needs the choir book." That makes
Yep.
sense. Because I was kind of scared to go over there to put to put the hymnal on the piano. Like, I had to go put my big girl pants on and go over there.
Well,
Um,
we were even asking questions for the people in the pews, and and the pews were quiet until we started addressing the pews back there. And all of a sudden, once we started asking direct questions back into that area, they were lighting up on the different pews. Like we were
yeah.
asking what prayer requests and different, just,
And it wasn't like a
yeah,
flicker, like it would
uh-uh.
just slowly, or it would just a zit, like, that doesn't make
Yep.
any sense. Zit, like just a little
Yeah, just like yeah.
a twinkle maybe of a
Hmm.
flashlight. But the favorite part that still gives me chills, and I almost wanted to cry when it happened, was when we played Amazing Grace and all the flashlights on the front row
Yes.
literally dimmed in the rhythm of Amazing
Yes.
Grace. Oh, it
And it was
was
all of them. I mean, I think I've got like 12 flashlights, and I think I had every single one of them there in that church. And when you get them all on the entire, just in that front row doing that, I mean, it really truly was a touching, amazing session. And it's times like that, it literally can bring a tear to your eye when
Mhm.
certain things like that is happening, especially when it's so touching.
Yep. And it was, and for me, I never want to be disrespectful in that church. And what's really cool about the church, that building back in that time, that church was more than just a church. That church was probably used as the courtroom, the school, the church, office meetings, and I don't know. It's just that church was the center, was the foundation of everything in the community. Now to know
Yeah.
these are not original, these are original buildings, but they were moved to this location. This was not the original home. And this is a
Mhm.
fun fact. In 1955, the movie The Kentuckian, starring Burt Reynolds, was filmed here at Levi Jackson Park. And the original building that the jail was used, those original bars and stuff, that is still intact, they're still there. So not only does it have historical meaning, but it's got a little film history to it as well.
Yeah, and and that's the thing that I love about that, because you were talking about, being the community foundation and everything. And then you hit on being either connected to the land or connected to the building. And I think that Levi Jackson is such a good example of that because you have the massacre grounds there and the cemetery that is truly connected to the grounds. But then you have
Right.
these other buildings that have been moved from other places that it is connected. I'm sure there's ground activity, maybe moving around in its own space, but connected to those buildings. And so that's a perfect example of showing how you get those two different types of activity being connected to the
Right.
ground and to the buildings itself.
Yeah.
And they can move. That's perfect example.
And I will say, when I first came on board, I've people that are skeptics, and I've brought skeptics on your tours, or
Mhm.
in your investigations that are totally believers now. But the church building has had activity in the middle of a day. It's not just been at nighttime. I know the historian just told me about 3 weeks ago that it was ironic, on a Sunday. It was really hot in Kentucky. I mean, it was in the high 90s, miserable. Um, he always goes and unlocks all the buildings to make sure no one's in it. And the smaller buildings were scorching hot. When he went to open up the church, which is the largest of the 7 buildings, he heard muffling in the church, like multiple, like, like, so he thought he was going to bust in on someone breaking in. He was like, great, what's been vandalized? And as he opened up the church door, the rush of cold air went through him, and he said, all right, got you now, or something. And there wasn't anybody. And as soon as he stepped in, all the sound stopped, and he noticed it was cold, and it freaked him out. Not maybe freaked, but was very unsettling for a moment.
Mhm.
And when he realized no one was in there, he just said, okay, well, good morning. I've got everything open. So now from that, he always, when he opens the door, he says, good morning. And that's happened to him 2 different times.
Well,
So,
that's compelling when something like that happens, because how can you explain that
right.
I mean, with anything natural?
Yeah. And I do think, out of reverence, because it was a church, anyone that I've ever known has always respected that whole area. And I just think that that's the best way. I don't know what we can do, of just like if that was my special hat and you were respecting my favorite hat. I don't know. That's how we have to look
You
at
get
those.
better stuff that way. I mean, even at the jail, we get a lot of great stuff. And I mean, even though some of these people were criminals and
Right.
some of them just made a mistake, and they were in the jail there, we approach it with respect. We don't allow our teams and stuff that come in to be disrespectful or to be aggressive,
Right.
and you get much better results that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't walk into your house and just start demanding and asking questions and being all rude and then expect you to calmly respond.
Right. Yeah. And I think, the investigation that's going to be at the undisclosed cave, I don't know if that's ever happened anywhere because that wasn't anyone's home, but I do know there's a lot of history connected
Hmm.
and that this location had very important relevance to Kentucky history. So anytime there's a location that played a significant role, I think would have to have residual things.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I know the tour guide will have more historical stuff for us, but because it's kind of the unknown, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
And you came and investigated another location in
Yes.
London that had that's on the National Historical Register. Of course, that may be coming up in the future for you, but um,
Yep.
if you just so my suggestion is if you find anything that is registered as a historical marker, I would make that a note to definitely go visit it, even if it's just to find out more about it. But if you're not going inside, like you said, the land around it, you could even do your own thing during the day
Hmm.
or outside.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be inside the location.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because people pick up stuff all the time just being around it, and the spirits know when you're trying to communicate with them, and if we're very fortunate, sometimes they'll talk to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those. Oh, you want your expectation up here, but you don't want it too high because you don't want to disappoint. But there's something about the unknown and the first to be able to do something and to be able to say that you participated in that. I think that's part of just having the adventure, whether it was your hiking adventure or your paranormal adventure or your history adventure. Um, I know I appreciate the education you've given me over the last year and a half, and your passion and just excitement is definitely contagious. And knowing that if you don't get anything, a response, or you don't get feedback, it's okay. That doesn't mean it was
Right.
a failed event. You learned something. You got to meet
Hmm.
more people, plan a
Hmm.
vacation, and it's definite something that you could come back and do multiple times.
Exactly. And I always say that just because you get nothing on an investigation, sometimes getting nothing really validates the times you get something. It doesn't mean that a location isn't haunted. It doesn't mean it's not active. They may just not want to talk to me tonight, or that it may be, my technique. They may talk to Kelly and not talk to me. So, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about these locations that we've picked, is that there's so much rich history. And if you come and do that cave investigation, you're going to get to hear that cool history that is very significant to Kentucky itself.
Yeah. And it's like I said, a lot of people when you think caves, you think bats and all creepy crawly things. Listen, I don't do creepy crawly things. I don't like bugs. I don't like spiders. I You don't have to worry about that. Like I promise you. Like it's why and I'm very claustrophobic. Listen,
Mhm.
I can't sleep in a sleeping bag because that's too tight of a space. So for someone that's that person, I'm telling you, you're gonna be good with this cave location, I promise.
And that's a great point, because I did have somebody tell me at one point, they were like, "This sounds so cool, but I don't know, I don't do tight spaces." And it's like, yeah, but we are in a cave, and but it's different. It's different. And I mean, a couple other cool things about that, not only is it in a good safe environment, but also, I mean, we're in our own sensory deprivation state here in this cave. I mean, we're going to be underground, so we're not going to have the radio frequencies that's going to mess with your
Yep.
typical spirit box or mess with your tools. You're not going to have your light contamination and pollution. You're not going to have your sound contamination. It's going to be, if the lights are turned off, I mean, it's going to be the darkest dark you've ever experienced. And of course, we're going to be sitting there when that happens. It's not going to be roaming around in the dark.
Right.
But we're going to be, it's a great space to be able to conduct some true paranormal research, because you're not going to have the contamination that you would have in a normal, everyday terrestrial environment.
And the way, and I don't know, sometimes we divide up into teams of people. And I do know that the layout of this location, that is possible that we could probably be into 2 teams.
Okay.
And be far away enough from each other and still to see if that, I mean, that just depends what you want to do. But I'm just trying to let you know, this is how large the area is. That it's not like no one's crawling on their belly. No one is having to do a chain to, like, you're not going to get stuck. I will say, saying that to say this, the coolest part of the cave, though, there's just gosh, I hate that I can't, like, blah, just all the.
I know, I know, it's killing me.
I will say, what you will get to see, there will be proof that hundreds and hundreds of people at some point have been inside this location. Do you know what I'm talking about? Can you read my mind?
I know what you're talking about.
There is proof that there were lots of people that have, let's just say,
at some point in time, been through that cave.
Yeah. Let's just say, have you ever heard the phrase, here, put your John Hancock right here? Have you heard of that phrase? So that phrase may come into play. You may see a lot of John Hancocks somewhere.
There you go.
Does that work?
I like it. That works.
And that
gives a lot of names to
and dates, not just names.
Yeah.
I like dates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that just, and then that gives you even a little, I mean, if you wanted to, John Hancock, whatever that was, that would give you a little bit that, that person was there. But no, explain this. A lot of people think how does residual energy work? Because someone says, well, if John Hancock was there, but that person didn't die there, then how does that work? Does someone have to have passed away in order to communicate at a location?
And that is a great question, because we talk about this a lot at the jail, and I'll use that as an example. Okay. One of our sheriffs that passed away elsewhere, we get things associated with him. Now, he did not pass away there, but he spent so much time there as sheriff and so much time there as a deputy that he's in this location doing these tasks. I mean, he may be going and getting his cup of coffee,
doing his routine daily work.
We also have
way there.
Yeah, and so we have jailers that did not die there that we've been able to find at 10 till or at the top of the hour. We get incredible footsteps there. Well, they were going around doing their jailer's walk. They were doing their rounds. And so to be able to match it up with the time, the style of boots that we're hearing while they're walking, I mean, when you hear it, we've had several different jailers in there, and that's the kind of boots we wore. That would not be inmates' feet. That would be ours.
You're talking, you've had jailers that are current jailers say, I recognize that.
Yeah.
Because,
I recognize that sound.
Making your rounds, you're not sprinting. You're casually walking down the hallway, checking, pulling out names or numbers or something of.
Yeah. And so the theory behind that is, so let's take the jailer, for instance, that's doing the walk. not just every day, but multiple times a day and multiple times at night, is going through the jail. This is something, so inside the jail, we're inside of this sandstone structure. That sandstone is rich in quartz. Quartz is a conductor.
Mm.
And so you've also got the iron bars. And so essentially, all of this is happening. It's like the stone tape theory, or the like a recorder. The walls are absorbing this energy, this sound, this thing that's happening every day. So it's playing. Now, can you trigger residual energy? I think you can. Does that make it intelligent? Not
Right. Yeah.
necessarily, but I think you can trigger, by certain things you're doing, trigger a residual response.
Well, let
That's
me
just
tell you,
me
then
personally.
then your theory there has got me extra pumped about the cave then. If you're
Okay.
talking residual
Mm-hmm.
um, jobs or actions or routines,
Mm-hmm.
then and plus I didn't think of limestone and just the natural
And that's
almost
what I was going to ask. Do you know what this cave is made of? Is it limestone?
oh
But
I'm
while you're looking that up, so obviously we're under the ground, we're inside of this stone structure, so or stone orifice, whatever you want to call it. So
mhm.
it's going to be a conductor and absorb if there's natural springs or if there's water in
Oh
this
yeah,
cave. That also
definite
helps with the conduction.
definite limestone. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. And limestone is even better, in my opinion, than quartz as far as being a conductor. And so to me, and plus, if you also want to get a little bit, I guess, wooey or deep on things, there's not just the paranormal, there's the whole supernatural aspect of things. When you start talking about the missing persons, like the missing 411s and that sort of thing, those are tied into the cave structures in
I
the
didn't even
area.
think about that.
Yeah, and
So I
so and
will
you've got
say, so of supernatural, whether that is um to Virginia, the big walking man.
oh, Bigfoot
No, well,
or
not
Sasquatch,
Bigfoot.
Dogman. Oh, Mothman.
Mothman, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, so in the Danube National Forest, I do know there's been I didn't even think about Bigfoot, but
Mhm.
there have been Bigfoot sightings in Laurel County and in surrounding counties in the Danube National Forest. And not a better way, I didn't really even think like we're going to Bigfoot's resort. No, not really,
Yeah.
but I didn't really think about that. But interesting, whether it was UFOs or other
Yeah.
supernatural, that really is kind of connected to a cave system. And that makes sense
Hmm.
of them attracting maybe to that limestone, of just the science behind that.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got the little people. You've got there. I mean, there's all
Okay, go back.
these.
Okay, what's the little people? What's this?
Yeah.
Educate
So well, the little people is a whole topic in and of itself. But I mean, they. Oh my gosh. So they're attracted. That is one of the things that is believed that could be responsible for some of the missing 411 stuff. It could potentially be the little people.
Now,
They're
is that like
attracted
it's an
to.
official term or is that a nickname for super like
Ah, I hate to
super?
tell you to Google something.
I'm
That's what
seriously.
I've always.
I feel like I was pretty educated on like I love all this stuff and I don't know. Like are we talking like fairies?
I mean, it falls in that
Okay.
supernatural genre.
We're talking
Yeah.
like Puck and like Shakespeare and the Midsummer's
Yeah.
Night Dream. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, because like in the Amazon, they tell you not to wear the bright colored clothes and stuff because they're attracted to that, and they're found in certain different areas, and it's some
okay,
of the
I
same.
was right. Pixies and fairies and
Uh-huh.
okay.
I have never researched any of that, and I know people who do, and people
Okay,
who
well,
are
I
very.
just Googled this. It said little people of Cherokee folklore
Yes.
were um, capable of doing good deeds for people who treated them with respect. However, to look upon one was bad luck, potentially resulting in death. Such is the case with people lost in the woods who are rescued by these mystical beings.
Uh-huh.
That's what you're talking about of the missing people or whatever, and all of a sudden little
Yeah,
Johnny is like, here's the 5-year-old that was
that
missing for
hiked
6
15
days.
miles. Uh-huh.
Okay.
So see, the theory, like David Pilatus never goes on to say what he believes. And to me, this is, I could talk so long about the missing 411 and just how, because to me, that's the scary part. Like, paranormal, I mean, I'll sleep in a anywhere by myself, it doesn't bother me. But people disappearing without a trace, man, that freaks me out. And I'll sit and listen to those stories while I'm like late at night, and then I can't sleep because I can't quit thinking about it.
Okay,
And
now I'm on a total different lane of now.
and it's
In
related
many
a lot
Native
of.
American tribes, the little people have been described as a humanoid spiritual beings that are true in stature. And I mean, we are right in the realm of
uh
the center, epic center for that particular to be. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean it's tied into the whole supernatural thing. Now I have never uh I've unofficially gone squatching and only one other time.
No, I've
And
got squatching twice. And I
okay.
have a friend that has gone, she's going squatching in a couple weeks. She's been squatching probably every other month for
We need to
weekends.
like start a club that does like squatching and catfish noodling or something.
Listen, we can little people like we'll just I'm telling you what though, this picture that's coming, if I see this gnome looking thing, I'm just telling you, if I see this roll up in here, I'm just I'm disclosing I, he can have my hat. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm giving up your hat if I see the little people like, and I love it because you can't disprove it and you can't prove it and you can't
That's right.
explain it. Like that's all about the
It's all part of the fun because,
yes.
I never knew how I felt about, Bigfoot and Dogman and Skunk Ape and all that.
Mhm.
But when you get back in some of these areas, especially in Kentucky and Tennessee, I mean, just the very rural areas, once you get back there, you can kind of see how things can hide and how things can disappear. And whether he is a transdimensional being that, can just disappear or whatever. And I mean, even fairies. I mean, I, I laugh about it because I'm like, come on,
Peter
that's what the
Pan,
stories we hear.
right?
Exactly, Tinkerbell and everything. But
That has
I
to
mean,
be influenced somewhere.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm just
It's to me, it's fascinating. It is extremely fascinating, and but to see that they tie some of these missing cases in because they're so strange how they happen. Um, there are statistics and characteristics that they're able to find surrounding these people's disappearances, especially the ones that they find, or the ones that they actually find the body or the remains of. And so, to me, the cave system, there's a lot of those missing there in your area, there in Kentucky, and then my area in East Tennessee because of the cave system clusters that are there. So, I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff related to it. And so to me, it just kind of takes this. I'm not saying we're going to go searching for fairies and little people on this investigation.
yeah. I, but just know what the ingredients, I guess, ingredients look like of
Uh-huh.
the elements surrounding the cave.
Yeah.
You're in a rural area, Danube National Forest, lots of history, lots of unknown. I mean,
And Kentucky's got some not just great history. And I think we talk about this on another show because we kind of touched on this at another conversation you and I had. But Kentucky has some great supernatural history and just high strangeness.
And and I will say, I'll give a plug into our neighbors in Somerset, Kentucky, in Pulaski County. Now, they do have a paranormal museum.
Yeah.
I've not been there yet. That is on my list to go to. But I do know there have been sightings of Mothman
Hmm.
in the Somerset, Pulaski area, like when you come towards London.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely something type of, because you're all in the Dannemora National Forest between
Hmm.
Laurel County and Pulaski County, and even in
Hmm.
Macquarie County, and that area is
Yes.
so rural. I
Hmm.
mean, so when the Dannemora National Forest, so Laurel River Lake, the Sheltowee Trace National Recreational Trail runs right through that, and the reason that is so great is because no houses, nothing can be built out there. So you
Right.
are forced to be in a rural area that will never
Hmm.
be developed. So what better case than for this safe place, safe house for
Yeah.
these supernatural things to hang out at?
Yeah, it's the same way with the Cherokee National Forest that's in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina. You hear about that all the time in these areas. It's almost like a sanctuary, if you will, and
Yeah.
you can kind of understand that. And just kind of looking at the comments here, and Ronnie mentions Kentucky has Waverly and Bobby Mackey's, not to mention Octagon Hall, and
Mhm.
all of that. I mean, Octagon Hall boasts like the trifecta of
Listen,
supernatural and high strangeness.
my experience at Octagon, when my mom went in February 2 years ago. Listen, we
Hmm.
heard cannons and guns go off in real time. I have it on my phone, and the REM pod, the blinky thing, it answered everything that we had of the questions. The two other teams that went, we asked them to ask the exact same questions, but we did not tell them the answers. They got the exact same answers that we had.
Now
Three
that's cool.
same exact answers. How old the soldier was, did he die? He was a Union soldier from South Carolina. He was 21 years old. And how they would do that was say, are you a Union soldier? Beep. Are you a Confederate? And they wouldn't say anything. And then they would go, how old are you? And we started at 14, 15, 16, and it would bling at 21. And then we heard gunfire go off in the distance. Like, well, mind you, this is in the middle of nowhere. Um, when that gunfire started, that REM pod went crazy. And the the number thing, I keep calling it the temperature gauge. It wasn't the temperature. Uh,
Okay.
it
Are you talking
was
about an EDI? Is it the EDI box? It's got the temperature on it with the.
maybe, but the guy was freaking out, the tour guide.
Oh, millimeter.
Yeah, and it was like, maybe it was like in the 50s. I don't even know, and making that up. And they said they get excited if it get like 4 or 5, and it was like off the meter, but it was going crazy because it was responding to that gunfire. And if it
Yeah.
was that soldier, they probably thought we were under attack, and it was going
Hmm.
crazy. Like, it was so cool to see that in person. I caught it all on video. And that
Nice.
was all outside in the middle of a field. It wasn't inside Octagon. It wasn't inside a house.
Right.
It was just on the land.
Uh-huh. And one of my first investigate actually it was my very first investigation there to Octagon Hall, and I guess that was in 2013 or no, 12. And it was interesting because we took cap guns and smoke bombs. And so we
Oh
lit up the
gosh.
smoke bombs in that field, so you just had just this billowing smoke, and then we just had just the regular kids cap guns, and but they were the loud ones, and the ones that
Mhm.
you could smell the popping. And it I mean it triggered a lot of activity. We got activity in the barns, we got activity in the field as soon as we started doing that reenactment ourselves. And another reenactment we did there that I thought was actually really original, outside of the slaves' cabin, um,
Hmm.
which is also where the summer kitchen would have been.
Mhm.
We actually took a little Dutch oven, dug a hole right there, put some coals in, and instead
Wow.
of them cooking for us, we cooked beans on in the Dutch oven for the slaves, and we got some really cool activity based on just doing that, cooking outside, trying to do something kind of different. Um, you know that place is cool, and
Mhm.
that to me, that's one of the things I'm looking forward the most about this investigation that we're going to be doing at the cave is I want people to come in with, I mean, because this is their investigation. We're just here, or I'm just here, just facilitating it, leading it, learning from everybody else. But I'm interested to see the ideas that these some will be investigators, I'm sure. Some will be people who have never investigated before. But the trigger items and the ideas that they have to see what kind of activity that it may bring up. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most is
Yeah,
learning from everyone that's coming because it's their investigation.
right. It's definitely, I know that we're having limited. I wish that we could be a huge investigation, but of what I've learned from you, intimate. I mean, that's just like if everyone came into my house, I would be overwhelmed. But to get to know
Yeah.
people, smaller crowds or smaller groups is going to be more
It's going to be a
valuable.
more, yeah.
Almost like when you have Bible study, you get more out of a small group Bible study than a
Mhm.
huge auditorium full. It's more intimate and personal.
Absolutely. And so just kind of hitting back on the weekend, it is a partnership between Wildcat Harley-Davidson, myself, and the London Laurel County Tourist Commission. And it's the second annual. And just to kind of break it down, we do have something for everyone. You don't have to come and participate in the entire weekend to be involved that weekend. But the things that we're going to be doing, you're going to want to at least, if, I understand not everybody's a biker, not every biker is an investigator, but I think at least two out of the three events that weekend is going to be something for everyone. And, we're kicking it off with the meet and greet that's going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I mean, the Wildcat Harley Davidson dealership, I mean, it's a beautiful dealership. And
It's one of the largest around with, I believe it's the square footage. 30,000 square feet of footage. You want to go in their dealership and look at their hardwood floors. Like you
yes,
all want to
yes.
remodel your entire house to make it look like the Wildcat Harley dealership. It's like sometimes I'll go in there and visit Chris during lunchtime just to hang out because it's a cool place to hang out. They always have food trucks and entertainment. It's a great
Yes.
place to just meet people. And maybe you want to sign up to do and take motorcycle lessons. It is on my bucket
Yes.
list to do that because I'm scared to death of motorcycles. But the more you educate yourself, heck,
Mhm.
I might buy one next year. My husband can keep the Jeep, and maybe I'll be the motorcycle person. Who knows?
There you go. There you go. No, I mean you're absolutely right because when we did the meet and greet last year, I mean that it was kind of chilly outside that evening, and inside of their little, I call it like a little man cave area, but
Mhm.
it's right there with the fireplace and the seats. I mean, we had a great time at last year's meet and greet, and they had food. I think that was free food for the public,
Oh yeah,
which
Chris is great. They
yeah.
usually have some type of event going on. And last year we had a private event. This year it's going to be during regular hours. So it's some people felt like it was only for a certain group of people, but it's
Hmm.
open for everybody.
Yes, and it's free. And we always, I can't stress enough, you don't have to be a Harley rider to come to Harley Davidson. You don't have to be a Harley rider to ride in the ride, which we'll talk about the ride in a second. But, come in if you're an investigator. Come in, bring me one of your cards, and let's talk about places you've investigated. If you are just a history buff or a paranormal enthusiast, come in, share your story with me. And if you're a biker and you're just kind of curious, like, what is this Hogs and Haunts thing?
Mhm.
Come in and share some of your stories that you've experienced from the road. I mean, it's a fun time. It's like I said, it's going to be 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and it is free. and come in, get you some food, and let's just have a good old time. And then, as we talked about earlier, kind of fast forward. I believe it's what, 7 o'clock
Yeah,
to start.
we will meet at our visitor center on exit 41 at 7 o'clock. And then by the time, it's some winding roads for us to get there caravanning. If you can carpool, that's always great. But if not, there'll be plenty of parking. If everyone needed to drive individually, that won't be a problem.
That was my question. I was wondering if the investigation started at 7 or if the meetup time was at 7.
I assume that we were meeting at 7. Um, but we can, I mean, that's your investigation, Miranda. So we can,
We can definitely firm that up and see if that's the meet time or if that's the time we'll be starting the investigation.
yeah,
And then Susan Purcell asks, she says, is London on Eastern time zone?
yes,
Yeah, that's what that's what I thought, but I wanted you to confirm that.
yeah,
I know we get a lot of confusion about that in Tennessee because Tennessee is both in
right.
Central and Eastern. I
Yeah.
think you
In the
also
same way
explained
with
that.
Kentucky, once you hit Glasgow, it switches over. So definitely Eastern. That's a great question.
Yeah, and so but again, we're limiting the numbers. We're limiting them to 14, 15 people. We have sold some tickets to that already. Ticket sales, I anticipate, are going to ramp up pretty quick. And as Kelly said, once they're gone, they're gone. And 100% of the proceeds go to the London Laurel Shop with a Cop program. And I've been saying this, but I want you to reiterate it, Kelly, just how important this Shop with a Cop program is to these rural communities.
Absolutely. So, Shop with a Cop here in London, last year they were to serve over 100 families. Um, Underserved families. These kids get to go shopping with our local police officers. Unfortunately, sometimes police officers are stereotyped as the bad guy. And they're the good guys. They're the one that are protecting us, that's keeping us safe. And so not only do the kids get toys and clothes and things that are needed, but they also get to build that relationship to know, like, hey, if you ever get in trouble, like, where are the good guys and where are your heroes, where are the friends? And sometimes that's not always how it's portrayed. And so
Right.
that not only is it giving back to these kids, giving what they need, but it builds that relationship with the local law enforcement.
That's right. To me, there's nothing that it bothers me when because I hear it all the time when I go to a store. You'll see an unruly kid, and they'll see a officer, and the parent will say, they'll be like, "I'm gonna go get that police officer," you're kind of really setting a bad example of this police officer to this kid. So they're not the
Or it
bad
could be
guys.
things like, oh, they'll give you a ticket. I mean, they're there to do their
Hmm.
job. There's rules and laws for a reason. Um, so anyway, it's just another great opportunity to just build that relationship and that rapport.
Absolutely. And for some of these kids here in these areas, that's the only Christmas they get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is true. And it was amazing. The need keeps growing.
Yeah.
And every time our community pulls through and keeps continuing serving, and appreciate everyone that donates. And also we've given the links if you're unable to
Yes.
attend and you're on the motorcycle ride and you want to donate, Miranda will have a QR code. It will pull up their Venmo and you can donate whatever you feel led to, and they appreciate every dollar that goes through.
Absolutely. And that's one thing we will put out with everything else is this QR code because we have had some questions of people who want to donate, how they can do that because they can't attend the event. So again, $45 gets you a night in an undisclosed location or an evening in an undisclosed cave location in Southeast Kentucky with us where we're going to be conducting some cool paranormal experiments and just having a good old time there. And so after that investigation is over on Sunday, we're going to be meeting at Wildcat Harley-Davidson at noon for the registration of the haunted motorcycle ride. This motorcycle ride is going to be different than last year's. We talked about some of the places we stopped at last year. Basically, what we did then is we went through and we really did less of the miles, but did more of the stops in the area and did more of the tourist sort of thing. This is going to be a foliage ride, and it's going to be more about the miles with the end destination ending, I believe, at the pinnacle. And I believe, I forget the exact mileage that Chris told me, but it'll be kickstands up at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and we should be back, everything be wrapped up by 5 that evening. So we do have a rain out date. If it does rain during the ride, then we're going to that ride will be on Saturday, October 21st, the very next weekend. So we wanted to go ahead and have that date just in case, because unfortunately last year we had to change the date, and that kind of messed with our
Yeah.
attendance a little bit.
The hurricane was coming up through, and it was just too much to plan, and definitely safety is always the number one priority.
Yeah, so this ride is free. We are limiting it to 15 people. But again, sometimes people will register for a ride and then they may not be able to make it and they don't remove themselves from the list. And so we want to make sure everybody has an opportunity. So if you want to join us for this free ride, definitely and go on there. We've got the links and everything in the description. I've got the link where you can purchase tickets to the entire event, register for the event. But if you see that's full, you can reach out to me or to Kelly or Chris, and we'll make sure that you're able to get on this ride if we've just got a couple people extra, just in case some people don't show up. So um, I think, I think it's going to be a great weekend and just something for everyone. And I mean, it was so much fun last year. I'm looking forward to this year.
Yeah, just and here's the cool thing about being in the cave. You're not going to know if it's raining or sunshining or whatever. You're going to be in a safe, covered location. And I will say, people are concerned. Well, if you got to go, you got to go. Don't worry. There are real restrooms that we can take you to, so it's all good.
No
Because
popping
those
the
are
squat out in
stories
the.
people think about. I'm just saying it's
Nope, you're right. You're
you
right.
don't have to go potty in the woods with the fairies. We've got restrooms for you.
I like that. That needs to be a shirt. You don't, or a slogan. You don't have to go potty in the
Potty with
woods
the
with the
fairies.
fairies.
Yeah.
Yeah, potty with the fairies. We've got restrooms for you.
Yeah. That's the hospitality we have here in Kentucky. No. But
Love it.
there's so much to do, especially in southeastern Kentucky in our Daniel Boone region. A lot of history. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see what this investigation may unlock in other areas throughout our region.
Absolutely. And the special thing that we're doing, if folks come to your area and they spend a night at one of your local hotels, we're trying to do something a little bit special. If you're doing one of these events or if you're doing all of them, we've got everybody's putting together some stuff for some gift bags, right?
Yeah, we've got some. I mean, we're not going to. There's not going to be like the $900 million lottery ticket in there, but we do have appreciation. People spending their time, spending their money, spending their resources. When you could go anywhere in the world, and you're going to come to London, Kentucky, we've Buff City Soap donates a lot of stuff. Our restaurants donate coupons because who loves to eat? I do. But if you need accommodations, go to visitlondonky.com. We have hotels. It's still camping season, people. You can bring your camper. We have plenty of parks, short term rentals. What you'll need to do is just show me. You don't gotta show me your hotel key, but show me something that you've booked your night here in London, confirmation, and we would love to be able to give you a hospitality gift bag.
Absolutely. I know we'll have some Ghost Biker stuff in there. And then we'll also have Ghost Biker merchandise. I know at the meet and greet, got some new T-shirts and hoodies, and of course the ever popular Ghost Biker hat, and of course stickers. Got a lot of Ghost Biker stuff. We will have all that for sale at the meet and greet, and I'm probably, depending on the time and stuff, I'll definitely have my trailer there that's at the cave. If you didn't make it to the meet and greet and you want to get a commemorative shirt, have that there. And then also at the ride, we'll have it so people can if you want to get any Ghost Biker merchandise. And then, of course, we'll have something special in this hospitality bag, too.
I will say this to help me out. If you did book your room, if you want to send Miranda just a little a receipt or something like that, if I could get your t-shirt size, hint hint, that might help me to be able to organize some of the gifts for you. So definitely want to, it's totally worth checking it out.
There you go. There you go. And thank you, Ronnie, for wearing your hat to dinner tonight. You're part of
Oh,
the
you're part of the
GBE
fan club.
Black Distressed Hat Club tonight. Uh,
Everyone will
but
get a complimentary rubber band so you can bend it up. I'm letting the cat out of the bag. That's what you're getting.
I need to include that. I love
Oh,
it. Love it. So, so Kelly, anything else that you guys have going on? I know you're first off, thank you for coming on tonight and sharing and talking about the cool stuff we've got going on, not just with the Ghost Biker event, but with you. You've been very busy. I've been wanting to get you on before now, but with the World Chicken Festival and all that stuff
right.
going on, I know you've been a very busy lady. Anything else going on that you want to plug that's coming up for anyone that's there
Right.
in the area?
Yep. So I know you all are coming up the 14th and 15th. The next weekend is the Civil War Battle of Camp Wildcat reenactment. That is the 20th through the 22nd. So if one weekend was good, you might as well go ahead and come up with two. And that's a great thing about London is located on I-75. It's very drivable. You're talking an hour from Lexington, an hour from Knoxville, 45 minutes from Somerset. Maybe you did your motorcycle ride and you found out you wanted to do more stuff. Come the next weekend and be able to spend more time of some of the other outdoor activities. Maybe you want to go hiking. You want to go to Van Hook Falls. Maybe you want to go to Holly Bay Marina and rent a pontoon boat and just cruise around at the lake. Go to Cumberland Falls State Park. So use this Ghost Biker weekend to do the paranormal investigation, see what all there is. Come back the next weekend and learn more about the history of the Battle of Camp Wildcat.
I love it. I love it. And like we said, definitely, guys, if you are here in South Dakota, like I said, this is my first time, and I've been so tired today. I got to see a couple little things, but haven't got to get out and really explore the area. Come by and see us this weekend at, for the Spirits of Deadwood event. And, if you don't have your room booked, you can still do that with the limited ones we have and be part of the investigation. But definitely come to the event. And of course, like I said, Ghost Biker Exploration Season 6, it is going to be coming at you live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And we've got some very, very special things planned with that. And we're going to say our goodbyes, but I'm also going to end out the episode again by just replaying that trailer. And again, if you don't mind, help me in sharing that out so we can get a lot of people watching on these lives, because these locations that we're going to be at, it is really important to get the word out about these locations. Haunted or not, they depend on the people coming to visit them to fund. And so yeah, help us get the word out about it and raise awareness. So, like I said, I believe that's everything. We're going to end it with this. We will not have a typical Ghost Biker Garage next Thursday night. Next Thursday night will be the first Behind the Screams of Season 6. And so we'll be talking about the live episode that aired on this coming Tuesday. So I may have a guest. It's going to depend on the location that I'm investigating, so I'm not going to give that away, but it may just be me again. So, but we'll be talking about the live. So, anyways, I hope everyone tunes in for that live coming up. We may be doing some lives here from South Dakota. Just kind of stay tuned to the page for that. But definitely tune in this coming Tuesday night, October 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern for the first premiere episode of season 6. So we're going to end with this live video. So thank you, Kelly. I appreciate you
Thanks for
coming
having
on.
me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me get this queued up, and I will see you all next week. Something different this year with Ghost Biker Explorations Season 6. Every single episode of Season 6 is going to be live.